So Jason, client authentication, certificate-based client authentication is a hot topic right now because there are changes coming to how your certs are going to be able to do that. And that has led a lot of people to examine their use of client auth. What are the use cases for client authentication?
It's in the name.
Okay.
Authentication by a client. So how many use cases of that are there in the world? But like almost unlimited.
Yeah.
Is the point.
Yeah.
So, but let's instead of leaving it like that, that's unsatisfying.
All right. And it's also too short for an episode.
It's way too short of an episode.
All right.
Have you ever logged into a VPN?
Yeah.
Then you've probably used a client auth, a publicly trusted client auth cert.
Okay.
Okay. Didn't have to be a publicly trusted client auth cert. Could have been a private CA certificate.
Sure.
It probably should have been.
Right. But it probably wasn't.
But a lot of people use a publicly trusted EKU client authentication certificate. Okay. I'm sure you've walked into a building with your mobile device or your laptop and had it automatically log into the Wi-Fi.
Absolutely. Happens all the time.
I guarantee in a lot of cases, it was a publicly trusted client authentication certificate. Okay. Have you ever been a salesperson with a laptop and you don't have to log into salesforce.com, you're single sign-on automatically?
Yep.
A lot of people have that.
Yeah.
That cert that logged you in very likely might have been or still is a publicly trusted client authentication certificate.
Yeah. There's a ton of single sign-on.
Tons and tons and tons. Client authentication. It's it's the widest use case there is for certificates.
Sure.
And it's one of the reasons why people wanted to get it from a publicly trusted source because it was just easy to get.
Yeah.
That actual public trust isn't getting you anything in any of these use cases.
Right. Well, you need something. So like in the case of single sign-on, obviously there has to be some like in the case of a single sign-on, that could be happening with my private CA, right? Because that's a controlled environment. It's SSO. When I walk into the building, though, how should that work?
When you walk into a building, and right now, let's talk about the scenario that's quite common, where there's a whiteboard, and the password for the Wi-Fi is written on the whiteboard, or a sheet of paper.
Or someone was kind enough to laminate a sheet of paper and tape it to the conference room desk. Yep.
We've all seen it.
Yes.
Okay. So if you have guests you've never worked with before, then you need to provision them.
Right.
With a certificate.
Yeah.
And so if they have a publicly trusted certificate, you don't want them.
You don't know anything about them.
You don't know anything about them.
You know they could get a publicly trusted certificate. That's what you know.
That's all you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so therefore, you don't want people you don't know to just be logging in. However, you do want to make the life easy of the allowed guest.
Right. Right. So again, the employee attaches to the Wi-Fi with a company assigned cert. I totally get that. How do we do it in the case of the allowed guest?
The allowed guest, it's not always easy. And so let's talk about the case that is maybe the most common where you absolutely do want that person to get something, a certificate. And we're talking about like a contractor.
Okay.
Who's coming in, they're on a 9-month contract. They're going to be working in your office every single day, and you want them to be effective. I think what ends up happening is it's very similar to any kind of BYOD scenario, where some sort of bootstrapping, machine management is going on, so that the certificate gets to where it needs to be. Whatever the VPN settings are that need to be set on the machine are set. And that's typically part of the MDM bootstrapping.
And this is not different from your employee-owned mobile device.
It's not. It might not be much different at all.
Okay, yeah.
Except that you're obviously the way that in which you write this person's entitlements are going to be different. Those machines you want to be scrutinizing. because quite often they're BYOD devices, BYOD laptops, etc.
Sure.
They're not just images that, laptops that have been imaged centrally and are completely tightly controlled. But at the very least, that person can come in and log into the Wi-Fi and, do the things that they're allowed to do.
Right.
And do you use the same cert for single sign-on for other services within the company? Probably not. You might want a different cert for that.
You probably do. You're saying you probably shouldn't.
I would say that you probably should use more than one cert.
Right.
But a lot of people don't.
Right. I think that's what I'm saying.
And
I bet you in the real world, you find that they're just reusing the same cert.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the point. Since this is really all about use cases of where today those soon to be deprecated client authentication certificates are being used. Here's the thing, like the public trust of that cert isn't giving you anything, including it's not giving you anything with respect to an outsider coming in.
Right.
This idea of public trust, you're not trusting the public.
Yeah. All you're accomplishing is that somehow they were able to get a cert from a public CA.
Yeah.
And the bar on that is incredibly low, right? I mean, it basically means I possess a computer and have internet access. That's the bar on that. So what have we learned there? Nothing.
So really what it comes down to is every cert can be scrutinized in the authentication use case to say, what does this root up to?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, I don't want it to root up to a self-signed cert. Well, all private CAs are self-signed certs.
Yeah.
But all CAs. But a publicly trusted one roots up to a known root, public root.
Yeah.
As you say, though, I can go get publicly rooted certs all day long.
And so if it's rooting up to my CA that I control, then obviously it's about how good I am at controlling my CA. And if I'm using that, in a properly governed fashion, I can have a good degree of confidence that those certs are in the hands of people I want them to be in the hands of, right? And I get that, and also I can see where that can work for the employee-owned device and that can work for the contractor, right? So, yeah, I guess that's what we want to be looking for.
So, in other words, there's a couple. What we're really talking about here is what are the common use cases? It's anywhere you authenticate.
Yeah,
and it could be a person with their device, VPN, Wi-Fi, application authentication.
Yeah.
You're also seeing usage of it with workloads, even agents right now. And the point to all this is do a better job at taking inventory of your cryptographic assets, certificates.
right.
And very specifically, you're going to have to, because March 2027, you just said the date, that's when you're not going to be able to get any more of these things.
Right. On a public CA, right? You're absolutely be able to do this on your own CA. And that's what we're seeing people migrate to. And I think another point that's connected to this then is you say, how much discipline does your organization have around these certificates? So let's say I'm using my own private owned CA to issue client certificates. What are the controls I have in place to ensure that they're only going to the people they should go to? What kind of expiration terms are we setting? What kind of renewal cadences in place? How am I controlling permissions? Am I revoking them when those permissions should be revoked? Am I doing that within 24 hours? Am I shutting off automatic renewal after those permissions have been revoked? Like, these are all things that if you don't do them correctly, you are leaving potential holes in your security perimeter.
100%, Tim.
Yeah.
Good old fashioned PKI governance has been around 30 years plus.
Yep.
It's there for good reasons. The nice thing is there's not an infinite number of things to have to worry about.
Right.
But there are a few.
It's about the list I put. I might have missed one, but I didn't miss anything major.
Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah.
It's when the contractor's done, you
shut off his cert.
you shut off,
Revoke his cert.
Revoke the cert.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. But you got to do that. That's my point. And the one thing about a private CA, of course, is there's no independent third-party body that's going to force you to do that. That's about your department and your operations and making sure that your control of permissions is happening correctly.
This is all, I'm sure, in the back of people's minds. We're bringing it to the front of your mind because of these due dates around the changeover from you can no longer get yourself a publicly trusted certificate for the purposes of authentication. You're going to have to go to a private CA, and private CA discipline is part of that governance program. You're just going to have to take out of the back of your mind and bring to your front of your mind again.
Got it. Agreed.
Thank you, Tim.